Hi, welcome to the Conservative Continuum. I'm your host, Mick Meow. Please follow me at patreon.com/Mick Meow. We are going to have a cat-tastic program for you today. We are talking with a panel of voters in Oklahoma who have not only decided to support, but to vote for the American First Republican slate. It is going to be an excellent program full of information for you and your voting. So grab your kitty treats, grab that milk, and let's get ready to engage. Well, it's time for the caterwaul. Let's get to it. I went to an excellent event last weekend in Chandler, which is in Logan County. It was at the fairgrounds at the Civic Center. And it was the Lincoln County Republican Party annual Lincoln Day dinner. It was fabulous. They had speakers from every election race. It went anywhere from attorney general to senators. It ran the whole gamut, state and federal. Opportunities like these allow voters to be able to meet the candidates. You can look them right in the eye. You can gather information about them. You can offer them support, and you can socialize with like-minded conservatives. Plus, the food was great. We had barbecue and sweet tea. So, to me, it was the embodiment of stand up, speak out, and get involved. I was able to get informative push cards about the candidates who were there. They had brochures that provided websites, information that you could get on the candidates, their platforms, even differences between them and other candidates. They had yard signs available there as well. I spoke with the candidates and I asked them questions. I got their input on issues that were important to me so that I could make an informed decision about who I was going to vote for and why. Basically, I was vetting that political candidate. So I know other Republican organizations in Oklahoma have had these types of events as well. And what we're desiring is to know, who is it that we're voting for? Are they really who they say they are? How do you find information on them? So today, we're going to speak to a group of voters who have vastly vetted and chosen the Oklahoma American First Republican slate. Briefly, they are Jackson Lohmeyer. He's running for the U.S. Senate. Dr. Randy Grellner. He's running for the U.S. Senate. Sabrina Banks. She is running for the Congressional District 5. Wade Burleson. He is running for Congressional District 3. Dr. James Taylor. He is running for Congressional District 4. And John Bennett. He is running for Congressional District 2. What I want you to know is that these people right here are the champions. These are the real deal. These are the people that we need. They're not politicians. They're people like you and like me. And they're going to go to Washington and they're going to listen to us and they're going to hold our values. They're going to do what they are asked to do, and that is represent you and represent me. So let's get started and talk to that panel. Hi, welcome to the Conservative Continuum. I'm Mick Meow. Today I have an excellent panel with me. These are people who are voting for the American First Republican slate. We're going to talk a little bit about who they're voting for, why they're voting, and we want you to get all the information. So everybody sit back, relax, let's engage. All right. Well, hello.
Hey,
how is everybody?
Great. Glad to be here.
I am so glad that you all are with me today. And David is with us remote. Hi, David.
Hi, how are y'all doing?
Excellent. I'd like you all to just kind of announce who you are and who you're voting for and what county you're in, what congressional district you're in. David, let's start with you.
I'm David Wall. I'm from Payne County, but I'm living in McCurtain County in Congressional District 2. And I'm voting for John Bennett for Congressional District 2, Jackson Lawmeyer for the Senator Langford seat, and for Senator Inhofe's old seat, I'm voting for Nathan Dahm.
Perfect. Wonderful. Who are you doing for governor?
Well, actually, I already voted yesterday, early voted, but I voted for Mark Sherwood.
Wonderful. Okay, let's go down the line here. We'll start this way.
Hello,
Hi.
My name is Pat, and I live in Oklahoma County, House District 5. That be right?
Congressional
Yeah.
district?
I think so.
Okay.
No.
Yeah?
Thank you. I'm voting for Sabrina for Senate, Sabrina Banks, and I'm voting for Dr. Grellner for Senate, and I'm voting for Jackson Lawmeyer, and I'm voting for Dr. Sherwood for governor.
Wonderful.
It's a full slate.
Full slate. Okay.
Hi everybody, my name is Ann, and just like Pat, I'm ordering the same from the same menu. I'm voting for Jackson Lawmeyer for Senate, Sabrina Banks for our Congress, Dr. Grellner, and Mark Sherwood. So that's my full slate there. Yeah.
Perfect.
America First. agenda.
Okay, I'm Claire. I'm in Congressional District 5. I'm in Precinct 507. All the precincts in Oklahoma County were all renumbered, which has been special.
Precious.
Yes, it's just delightful. And so for Senate, the two seats, Jackson Lawmeyer and Nathan Dahm for specific reasons. And for congressional, Sabrina Banks, and like our remote participant here, I've already voted because I'm a poll worker on Tuesday.
Oh,
So, and then for governor, I voted for Mark Sherwood.
wonderful. Well, just so everybody knows, I'm Mick Meow. I'm in Congressional District 5. I am voting for Dr. Mark Sherwood for governor, Jackson Lawmeyer, who is running against the incumbent, Dr. Randy Grellner for the seat that's being vacated in the Senate, and then Sabrina Banks for Congressional District 5. So, welcome everybody. Let's talk a little bit about, and I'm just going to go down the line here. Tell us a little bit about why you're voting or had voted for Mark Sherwood for governor. We'll just kind of take one candidate at a time, but just so it doesn't get confusing for people. So, why did you vote for Mark Sherwood, David?
Oh, thank you, Mick. So the reason I voted for Mark Sherwood, it was kind of a tough decision. I went back and forth on it. I think overall, I like a lot of what Governor Stitt has done, but my main criticism of Governor Stitt was probably the vaccine mandates. I thought he should have been stronger against the vaccine mandates for private employers, as well as maybe come out stronger with it originally. But I mean, generally, I think Governor Stitt has signed a lot of good bills recently. But Mark Sherwood, I think, would do everything that I like about Governor Stitt plus some more, and that's the main reason I voted for Sherwood over Stitt. Though I ended up going back and forth on it, I decided I thought Sherwood might be a little bit more consistent in a lot of those policies, especially considering with the COVID, and then after the Afghanistan withdrawal, Governor Stitt was supporting the Biden administration's push to bring a lot of unvetted Afghan refugees in, and Mark Sherwood opposed that. And I think those two reasons alone were the two reasons that pushed me towards Sherwood over Governor Stitt, at least for the first round.
Can you briefly tell us why you voted for Jackson Lohmeyer? Just kind of take them one at a time. Why you briefly voted for Jackson Lohmeyer, why you voted for Nathan Dahm, why you voted for Sabrina Banks. Just kind of give us your brief input.
Yeah, I can do that. So this past year, Senator Langford has seemed like he's had a more conservative record this 2022, but it seems like it mainly came after Jackson Lohmeyer entered the race. So before that, Senator Langford had voted to confirm Merrick Garland, as well as voting to certify President Biden's so-called electoral college win. And during the Trump years, Senator Langford had supported amnesty at one point, as well as opposing Trump's border wall. So even though now he's sounding good and he's been going visiting the border, and I appreciate some of the stuff he's been doing recently, I think mainly that's been due to Jackson Lohmeyer pushing him to do that. And I believe Jackson Lohmeyer, again, like kind of on the same reason I voted for Sherwood, I think Jackson Lohmeyer would be a more consistent conservative up in the Senate, more America first, and would be more willing to rock leadership, especially if we take the Senate, which I think we will, pushing Senator McConnell, majority leader, if he's a majority leader, pushing the Senate to oppose Biden more strongly and push for legislation that I think would be better for Oklahoma and for the country.
Perfect.
And for the Inhofe seat, or Inhofe's old seat, I'm voting for Senator Dahm because of his record in the state Senate, from constitutional carry to the pro-life bills to other bills he's introduced, like the anti-sanctuary city bills, the President Donald J. Trump Highway. I think he's someone that in the state Senate has been consistently pushing the best legislation, not just in the state of Oklahoma, but across the country. He's been one of the most conservative state senators, and I've appreciated a lot of the bills he's introduced. I've helped campaign for him before for other seats when he ran for the 1st Congressional District over in Tulsa, and I think he's one of the best candidates for that seat.
Excellent. And then why did you vote for Sabrina Banks?
I'm not in Sabrina Banks' district, so I did
John
not,
Bennett. My bad.
Oh, for John Bennett, yeah.
Pardon.
So I voted for John Bennett for state party chairman back in, I think it was 2 years ago, when he ran for state party chairman. I was a delegate from Payne County at the time, and I thought he was the best candidate for state party chairman. And when he took over the party, he did a really good job with pushing the party in a direction I really liked. And looking at his record in the state house, I think overall he did a good job with the 10 Commandments and other bills he's pushed in the state house during his time there.
Excellent.
And I think he'd be in Congress. He would be able to join the House Freedom Caucus and work with other congressmen and congresswomen like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Scott Perry, Mo Brooks, Jim Jordan, and work to do things with them.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to go down
Oh, no problem.
the line
Thank you.
here. Claire, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Oh, Claire, can you tell us a little bit about why you voted for the candidates that you did?
Well, let's start with Sabrina. That was a hard decision for me because Sabrina represents what I would like to see in Congress, but not as much. I think you're very lucky living in Congressional District 2 because you get to vote for John Bennett. That's who I'd like to vote for. I think John Bennett could be our Andy Biggs and our MTG and our Lauren Boebert and Jim Jordan that in that Freedom Caucus. You're right. Yes. I think it would be excellent. I remember when I first started working for the volunteering for the Oklahoma County Republican Party, and Arizona, Maricopa County had MTG and Matt Gaetz. And so I called them up and I said, how did you get Matt Gaetz and MTG? And they said, Andy Biggs got him for us. And I went, I wish we had an Andy Biggs, and I'm looking forward to John Bennett filling that role. So that didn't really discuss Sabrina very much, but I hope you guys in Congressional District go whole hog for John Bennett. He's cool.
I do too.
Me too.
I
he
support
is-
him wholeheartedly.
He's going to be a fire, and our
Yeah.
whole Congressional District needs to be more like John Bennett.
Yes.
It really does. And I think we regret not having a candidate like that.
Yes.
Mark Sherwood is a much in the same vein. I agree that I think Stitt has done a good job. I like what all he's done. I would just like to see it amplified. It's very difficult for me to pick up my social media, True Social, and yes, I've kind of gotten back on Twitter now that there's this Elon Musk thing out there, and it's become a little bit better for conservatives. But there's hardly anything that Ron DeSantis doesn't do that I'm just going, wow, I wish we had that. And I'm
Yes.
thinking Mark Sherwood would be that kind of governor. And I would like to see that. Things are really well done by Sherwood.
Excellent. We're going to take a quick break because the kitten is telling me he needs kitty treats. We're going to be back and we're going to pick up with Claire and we're going to finish why we're running for the voting for the candidates that we are. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Conservative Continuum. I'm Mick Meow. We are having a fabulous time here. This is the best. I love having a panel. We were talking to you, Claire, about why you were voting for who you were voting for, and you were telling us about who you were voting for with the Senate.
Right. Lamar is just so easy to pick.
Yes.
He's actually going to do well. He is just doing fabulous in the polls. The amazing thing in all of this to me is that Lankford knows he's been in trouble for 2 years. And suddenly he's got a real threat, thank heavens. So don't think that your vote is to Lamar is a comment. It is not. This man can win. 12%. Let's see, I think we're at 44% for Lankford and 41 for Lamar. And Lankford can't get over 50%. Remember the last time this happened in 2016 when somebody couldn't get over 50% and somebody else got elected president?
Yes.
Here we are again.
Yes.
This is the reason why it's important to study history, because you can look at it, you got 12% undecided. All of a sudden, you're looking at these people turning to Lankford. So, for Lamar. And so Lamar's got a real opportunity here.
Yes.
In the unexpired seat, we've got Nathan Dahm. And anybody who has watched the Senate, the state Senate for the last 10 years, has seen this guy kind of rise and rise and rise, sort of like the way cream rises to the top, but it takes all night for it to happen. That's what's happened with Dahm. What really went right through me was the state legislature passed ERIC, which is the Electronic Registration Information Center. If you read the contract that the state of Oklahoma signed with this company that is to help us keep our voter rolls clean, you need to remove the children and the ladies from the room, because the words that will be coming out of your mouth will not be nice. There were 3 senators who voted against that. Dom was one. The reason is he reads all the bills. Now, if there's anybody we need in the Senate now, it's this kind of a candidate. So I think that's my Senate, governor, and congressional district, I think.
Yeah.
The last thing is, it's important when we're going out to vote to remember that this is not a popularity contest.
That's right.
And the real reason we're voting is on the policies and philosophies. Believe it or not, the voter nor the candidate has any idea what kind of bills will be coming down the pike. And so as a result, they need to be have a clear vision of philosophy so that we know pretty much how they're going to vote on CRT, pretty much how they're going to vote on parental rights, this kind of thing. This has nothing to do with personality. And of course, the classic example of this is Trump. I did not vote for Trump in the primary, but I did vote for him in the general. As a result, he has turned out to not be such a nice person that I might like to go to dinner with or have as a friend, but by George, that man can implement policy, get it done, and do the right thing. He knows what's right to do.
That's it.
That's a fabulous candidate.
And cut through all of the other distraction, the
Exactly.
little gold dangly stuff there, and say, this is what needs to go, and put America first.
Exactly.
Take care of who are your voters first.
Take care of home first, and then you can run amok outside
right.
and start taking care of those people.
That's right. Okay, Anne, I'm going to move quickly on to you.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about why you're voting for who you are.
Well, thanks for the opportunity, Mick. So great to be here. I think I did take some notes, but as I'm listening to all your eloquent responses and everything, I think I go back to, I'll start with Sabrina, because I moved here from California. I was born in Oklahoma City, but lived all my life in California. Moved back here 4 years ago with the expectation I would come to, obviously, one of the reddest states in the country, get away from California. And so I actually worked actively to get Bice elected, worked on her campaign, and I expected a lot from her. And I've been
Didn't get it.
sorely disappointed.
Yeah.
Sorely disappointed.
That-
When we've got MTG, we've got Lauren Boebert, we've
Right.
got all these outstanding,
Women.
outspoken women
Right.
who are fighters, and she gave every impression that she was, if she was firing the gun and all that stuff. And she was even elected the president of the freshman congressional class. And I thought, wow, okay. But I think that's why she was elected. That's because she's, I believe, a compromiser. We need to get
Right.
along. And so anyway, sorely disappointed.
Right.
And so that kind of underpins all of my choices, that I think there's no room for compromise with any of the Democrats. I'm sorry. It's time for no more bipartisanship, because they're out to destroy the country. And so the candidates, Grellner, Sherwood as well, in their platforms, they talk about the Marxist ideologies that are getting implemented throughout the country, encroaching on Oklahoma,
Yes.
socialist agendas. That's the kind of language that we need to be talking about. And I haven't heard word one from the likes of Stephanie Bice or Langford or any of these folks. So Sabrina, when I heard her speak, she said we need to fire all the incumbents. And I know that's kind of it could be a generalization, but actually when you get down into their platforms, what they stand for, she's exactly right. And I've had it with everybody, and we need some outsiders, people who aren't politicians, who are really going to do, break some glass. So
That's right.
that's why I'm voting for who I'm voting
I
for.
so agree. I so agree with that, because I think we have a lot of people out there who are saying, okay, well, I'll just kind of stand back and I watch Stephanie. And, it wasn't until, like 7 months ago that she started saying, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll speak out about this or I'll speak out about that. And it's like, where have you been?
Yeah.
Right.
Pat, I want to get to you. Tell us about why you're voting for who you are.
Well, Jackson Laymeyer, I think is just dynamite. I believe in everything he stands for. I appreciate how hard he works. I also appreciate the fact that he does not want to be a long-term politician. He wants to get in, get the job done, and get out.
Yeah.
He wants to help America, but he also wants his life back when it's over.
Yes.
And I appreciate that. And I think that if you're not so concerned about re-election, that you can actually get something done.
Yeah.
So I like that in him.
Yes.
Dr. Sherwood, I love the fact that he is not a politician, and the same goes with him. He doesn't want to be a long-term politician. I think both of them speak truth, and I think that they are willing to do what they say, walk the walk and talk the talk, and that's what we need. We do not need more Stephanie Bices as Republicans anymore. We just don't need it.
I think compromise has gotten us in the position we're
Oh
in
my
today.
gosh.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We
And we're just sick of it.
Yes, and people think Trump was rude. Well, I'm sorry, but that's what we need.
Right.
We need outspokenness.
Right.
We need people to get in there and get it done. And if they hurt people's feelings or step on some toes, so be
bad.
it.
Too bad.
We've got to get it done.
Yeah.
David, I want to pull you into the conversation about this as well, about a little bit about why we need to stop having all these compromising positions. Uh-oh. Okay, wait, the kitty's telling us we need to take a break, so I'm going to go ahead and clean out the litter box really quick, and then we're going to come right back. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Conservative Continuum. The kitty is settled for right now. So we were talking just about that overall sense from all of us that there has been so much compromise going on and so many people going, well, okay, we shouldn't say this, we shouldn't do that. David, I wanted to bring you into the conversation. How do you feel about that? Do you see that happening a lot in our government officials?
Yes, I do. For example, the bill that passed today in the Senate, the gun reform or gun control bill, that passed with 14 Republican senators voting for it, including many senators from very red states like John Cornyn,
Yes.
Blunt, Portman, from states that voted for President Trump by huge margins. So I think that's a big issue with Republicans that get elected and then they just go to the Senate or go to the Congress and compromise with the Democrats on conservative principles.
Yeah. It's like they become tone deaf. They leave their constituency behind, and that was one of the things I talked to Sabrina Banks about in her interview, is that I hear it so much, people just going, okay, you get in, and then you forget about us,
Right, right,
You just run ramshot right over us. I would like to talk about our next topic. I really would love to know, what was it in the platform of those that you were voting for, the candidates that you were voting for? What is it about either their goals or their platforms that was the most important to you? What is it that impacted your decision to vote for them? I'm going to start with you, Claire.
Well, this is an unusual year because we have a lot of citizens who are stepping up to run for office.
Yes.
So we don't really have any record that they have other than they're a farmer, or they're a this, or they're a that. this makes them, to me, much more qualified as they are closer to the voter. And again, we go back to you have to understand their philosophy and their policy. Now, there are a couple of cases, and I think Nathan Dahm is the most dramatic, as he's the one who read all the bills when he was in office. He's voted practically and logically on almost all those bills. He's not as bombastic as you would consider from most senators. If you really want to see what Nathan Dahm looks like, he has a video on YouTube where he did an interview with Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan interrupts him. He's rude. He's inconsiderate. Nathan Dahm was calm and answered each question as they were given to him. And I'm thinking, whoa, this guy is awesome. And if there's anything you need to know about Nathan Dahm, it's contained in that video. And even though it's about 20 minutes long, which is a little long for a video, you are really brought in by how rude Piers Morgan is, but how Nathan Dahm was calm and grounded and centered and sat there and answered the questions in a very calm and centered way. So we're in an unusual year where a lot of, particularly in the Oklahoma State House and Oklahoma State Senate, a lot of first-time citizens are stepping up.
Yeah.
So look for their philosophy. Look for their policy. If you can't find it, contact them and find out what's going on with them. Also, I think you have to be careful of endorsements. For example, this year, we all know there are 3 major state endorsements that have, entities that have endorsed a person who has now had to resign from his position because for fear of being indicted. He was definitely going to be investigated. And they all 3 voted for, supported him, and you have to wonder, are these people being vetted? So this puts more pressure on the voter. I know it does. We'd all like to look at those endorsements and say, oh yeah, this is great, this is wonderful. But the voter really needs to get out. And I'm going to make one last comment. I'm sorry to be so long. I'm reading Victor Davis Hanson's The Dying Citizen. And in this book, he talks about how much of this generation considers voting and our rights just a given, and we don't have to do anything. Wrong.
No, wrong.
This is the republic. Our wonderful founding fathers set up a system by which the citizen must be involved, and that means the voter must be educated.
Yes.
Take some time. Your vote is very precious. Don't just throw it out there. Take some time to look at the candidates and to see what they are. And if you're going against an endorsement, that's okay. If you feel that his policy, his or her policy, is good and worth it.
And I'm so tired of hearing when you talk about a Lawmeyer or a Sabrina Banks, well, they can't win. Nobody knows who they are.
Right.
That's so not
stop
true.
it. If you vote for them, they will win. Give them a chance and listen to their philosophies.
That's it. Listen to what they're saying.
Their character.
David, I want to get
Yes.
you in on
Yes.
this too. Tell us about that, because tell us what you think about that, because I agree with what you're saying. You can't just say they can't win because they're not known or they don't have the money.
Right.
Right.
No, stop.
Yes.
What do you think about that? What pushed you? What brought them in their goals or platforms?
Well, I think especially for like what to y'all's point is, if everyone says, I mean, they're not going to win, so I'm not going to vote for them. Well, they won't win because people won't vote for them. But the main point is, I think you vote, especially in a primary, you vote with the candidate that aligns with your values and your policies more. In the general or in the runoff, you would look at it then. But I think overall, like especially Jackson Lawmeyer, main reason I voted for him, and was because of Senator Langford's record on several things in the past 4 years. And Jackson Lawmeyer, he's strong on the election, he's strong on the border, he's strong on all those religious liberties, all those issues that Senator Langford might be good on, and plus more the issues that Senator Langford is not as good on. So I think that's why I mainly went for Jackson Lawmeyer, and same with John Bennett and Dr. Sherwood. But like the Attorney General race, that's another important race going on. I'm voting voted for John O'Connor
Yeah,
because
me too.
from what I've heard, Gunter Drummond, I don't know if you guys watched the debate last week, but it really solidified my support for Attorney General O'Connor.
Yes. And I look at their actions, and what do you think about their policies or their platform? What draws you in? What drew you in? Because I tell you, that was one of the big things for me too, is not just what you're doing, but are you walking the walk and are you talking the talk? And that's what I'm getting from Sabrina Banks, Jackson Lawmeyer, Mark Sherwood, Dr. Grellner.
Well, yeah, and with Lawmeyer in particular, he's very outspoken about what the first day, what he wants to do. He wants to, take back or prohibit any more sale of American land to foreign entities.
Yes.
He wants to find a way to repatriate some of that land back to American citizens. He wants to prohibit federal spending for any schools that are teaching CRT. So, I mean, these are very solid things that he is completely open and honest about. And so that just really appealed to me a lot. And I think just one comment about Langford. He has,
No, go ahead.
The kitty.
No, the kitty.
The kitty. We got to take care of the kitty. I do want Anne to finish her comment because, but that kitty, he needs milk. So can you go get the milk and then come right back? Don't go away.
Sorry, I talked.
We've decided that the kitty is a Democrat because he keeps interrupting us. Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, welcome back to the Conservative Continuum. We are having a great time here today. I love having this interaction from all of you. And I want you to finish up your comment, what you were talking about Langford. We were talking about goals and platforms and what drew you in.
Well, I just wanted to make a comment. Something that occurred to me when I saw one of his TV ads. He ends it by saying, "Doing the right thing the right way." And to me, as being not uncompromising anymore, to me that means, and when I heard him speak too, it was we need to engage. We need to engage the other side. We need to convince them, persuade them of our viewpoints and things. So the right way to somebody like Langford and Bice, and my view, because they're in, they are obviously feel the same way, I think, is that's the right way is compromise, and that is just a huge red flag. So that's all that I wanted to mention. Right.
And in that compromise, I see that you've got an input, and I want to get that input. One of the things that I have noticed is that if you give a little bit, it never satiates.
No.
It's never
Exactly.
enough.
Exactly.
It's always we have to have more, we have to have more, we have to have more. And then you end up giving, that whole verbiage of give them, an inch and they'll take, a yard, a mile.
Absolutely.
Yes. Pat, you were going to say something.
Well, I was going to say something about Sabrina Banks.
Yes.
With everything going on today against children, Sabrina Banks is right there in the fight. She has homeschooled her kids because she did not want them to be around CRT. She understands the problems and she's willing to fight them.
Mm-hmm.
She is sacrificing, as all of them are. But, as a mom, sacrificing being away from her children, that's difficult. But she's willing to do it because she sees where our future is going. against the kids, and she is one mama bear that has woken up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another perfect example of a citizen stepping up.
There you go.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
Which is full.
And I
Yes,
love
yes.
how she puts in her platform, I'm not a politician, I'm a mom on a mission.
Right.
And she talked to me about the children being the future, and they are.
Yeah.
Those people who are in their, teens right now who are growing up, who are being bombarded.
Yes.
It's
Right.
just unreal. I want to move on to the next topic. I want to ask about if you were out canvassing and I was an undecided voter, what would you tell me in order to help me make my decision as you're promoting the American First slate here? Pat, let's start with you.
Well, I'm very direct, and I just ask them if they like critical race theory being taught in schools. I ask them if they like porn being taught in schools, and I ask them if they like the fact that the Democrats or the rhinos want the schools to be in charge of their children instead of the parents. That's kind of if I get any pushback at all, that's where I go. And I've gotten a lot of good responses with that.
I love that approach. And what about you?
Well, I think it's, I think asking the question, are you happy with how things are going? Are you happy with your
Who
life
could
right
be?
now?
Who could say, yes, it's awesome.
To pay more for gas.
Yeah.
I love it. $140 for my gas
Right.
tank.
Had I known, I would have voted for Biden. You know? I mean,
Yeah.
the gas, the
Oh,
food,
brother.
good grief.
Yeah.
No,
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty hard to get a
Yeah.
yes answer. So then that kind of opens the door to talk about, well, what do you think about how things are going on? And gee, did you know that Jackson Lohmeyer is doing this, or Sabrina Banks is for this, and they're talking about the socialist ideology and Marxist agenda that's infiltrating the country. So you can't get too high and mighty or ideological. Talk practical, but start there. Are you happy with what's going on? Just ask the question.
David, what about you? If you were, while you're out canvassing and you're talking to the undecided voters, what do you tell them? What can you tell them?
Well, I think I would, especially like considering with Nathan Dahm speak on his record in the state legislature and about what he's done, whether introducing the constitutional carry bill, the pro-life bills, and his record in the past 10 years, but also for the other candidates, I would talk about, like with Jackson Lohmeyer, some of Senator Langford's past record and comments and stuff that he's done, and how Jackson Lohmeyer might be different from what he's been doing, whether it's on Merrick Garland's confirmation or on the voting to certify Biden's electoral college. I think talking about records is a big important factor when canvassing.
I will say this, for Dr. Randy Grellner, the one thing when I interviewed him that really stuck out to me is he is a physician. He has been on the health board. He understands that concept of rural America being left out and healthcare being centralized, that Obamacare has really left the rural people, which is Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, has really left them in the dirt. The other thing is him being a farmer and a rancher. He understands that supply chain. He knows what needs to be done, and he takes that analytical approach to assess what needs to be done and what is happening and how to diagnose it and the actions. And that really appeals to me, not only as a nurse, but it appeals to me as somebody who says, oh my goodness, you've worked it. You know exactly what is happening. Claire, I want to come to you. You've done a lot of canvassing, and I love that. This woman is hot commodity. You've done a lot of canvassing. What do you tell people when you're out? How do you give them the information to draw them to these candidates?
First of all, I really like to emphasize how important their vote is and how important their educated vote is. Secondly, the feeling I get from most of the voters, the first time I canvassed my precinct, they were like, "Oh, great, it's good to see you." And there was the connection of the community. Once we got that, now they're angry. They're looking for somebody who's going to stand up. No compromise.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're looking for. In my local house race, we have that. We have one person who can stand up and be grounded. And is not going to compromise. So that's the person that wins my vote. In the case of Nathan Dumm, I have complete faith that this is going to be a person that stands up. I have the same thing about Jackson Lemire. And Mark Sherwood is definitely that guy.
A firebrand.
Exactly.
Wow. I
But
love
this
that.
is the feeling from so many of the voters is I'm sick of the compromise.
Yes.
And it was not Trump who was mean, it was Obama who invented Trump.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so true.
Oh, kitty. All right. We're going to take one more break and we're going to get this kitty taken care of. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Conservative Continuum. We have now converted the kitty. Okay.
It's conservative.
Exactly. We're having more fun than should be allowed. Okay, we're going to talk in this segment. I really want to get you all's input. What we hear a lot from voters is there's so many candidates. What do you tell them? How do I get the best information? How do I know who's telling me what is right, So I want to hear from you all what you would recommend when you're talking to people, how they can get the most accurate information, the best information. What can they do to ensure that they are voting how they want to vote? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did that make sense?
Yeah.
I hope it did.
Yeah.
For one thing, I think the most important information is to get it from the horse's mouth.
Mm.
Don't pay attention to he said, she said. Go to the source. Watch their interviews, go to YouTube clips, watch what they have to say. Look at their voting records. Don't rely on other people.
Yes.
And I would say, if anybody out there is in precinct 528 in Oklahoma County, it's amazing what you can learn at these simple precinct meetings where almost nobody goes, and it's shocking to me. The last precinct meeting, Langford was there, Bice was there, Todd Russ was there. All these guys came to speak, and it was very, very impressive. And they come to speak to 50 people. So. Everybody just needs to get involved locally. We're all just starting out, but we all need to that'd be the best way to just dip your toe in. You find amazing people here, and that's the best way to learn, I think. Go to OPAC meetings, hear from tons of speakers there. Great.
Women's Republican.
Women's
Yes.
Republican group. There are lots of groups out there that feature speakers and topics that get you more informed, and we all just have to start somewhere. So
And not be afraid, just to tag
Yeah.
onto that, not be afraid to ask the questions that you want answers
Right.
to.
absolutely.
You know, why did you vote for the January 6th Commission, Stephanie Bice,
Yeah.
and not push back on that? Why did you say in 2018 that you didn't agree with border walls, and now you do for Senator Langford?
And you have an
You know.
opportunity to do that at these meetings.
That's
Wow,
it.
too. It's
Yes.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because if you're thinking it, other people are also
Yeah.
thinking
That's
the same
right.
question.
And we're not saying, you know, get up in their face and create a scene. We're saying be respectful, but get your answers.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly
No.
right. Knowing full well that if there is no answer or it's not what you want, you can say, okay, well, that person doesn't get my vote.
Right.
And
That's
I think
right.
another way is to contact them, particularly in some of these state house races, because this is the seat that is the closest to the voter.
Mm.
This is the one that represents the fewer amount
Mm.
of people, and contacting these often, they will love hearing from the voters, because that tells them that's where that
Yeah.
vote is, that's where I need to vote, that's what I need to do, and this is who I need to represent. That kind of
Yes.
thing. I think that many of these people have websites, and I agree with Ann. A lot of places they have either they've debated or they've talked on YouTube,
Yeah.
and you get to see them, you get to hear them debate. Are they articulate? Can they debate on the House floor?
Right.
I mean, let's face it, that is a key goal, a key requisite for
Yes.
being in the House or the state Senate, because there are a lot of doofuses that do get elected and they get
Right.
laughed off the floor.
Mm.
And they aren't listened to, even if their heart is in the right place.
Yes.
We need somebody who can communicate and articulate our
Needs.
votes.
Mm.
Yes.
David, what do you think about that?
Well, I think I'd echo what the rest of the panel said on direct contact with the candidates, going to those meetings, precinct meetings, county meetings. You can meet the candidates in person, especially for those local races, and even for the statewide races, like Senator Langford. He's spoken at the Payne County Republican Party, and he's spoken at a lot of the county parties, and Senator Jackson Lawmeyer has as well. But for just online, I think the candidates' websites and Facebook pages is really good source, and you can even see sometimes the candidates will even comment on Facebook, and that's another source. I think I've also been on Ballotpedia, that has like information on the candidate and the district, and as well as iVoterGuide.com that has some information. And for like local for House races and Senate races, you can go to the legislature website, and there's other bill tracking websites that you can see what bills they've sponsored and what they voted for. But it's a challenge because there's so much information now, especially like on Facebook and Twitter. It's hard to find good sources on the candidates. So I think a lot of times the best source is just the candidates and the candidates' websites and platforms.
Yeah.
And as well as like those, I know we talked about earlier, but those you can look at the endorsements. You don't just want to base it off that, but you can look at resources like OPAC or OK2A or other groups that have resources on candidates. Although sometimes they can have different information, and I think it's just trying to get a well-rounded amount of information from different sources.
Absolutely. So true. I want to thank everybody for coming in today, for coming over remote. Thank you so much for being with us today, for giving us this information. I hope everybody learned something and understood the American First candidates. They're the way to go. Have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
thank you so much for curling up with us today. I hope that you got a lot out of this program today. It was an absolute blast for me. I want to thank David and Claire and Anne and Pat for coming out and sharing with us their reasons why they're voting for and supportive of the American First Republican slate. This to me is what it's all about. So stand up, speak out, and get involved. We're going to see you next week.